Well, Carol, thank you so much for joining me for an episode of my podcast. I'm really excited to spend a little bit of time with you. And so I'm just going to jump right into the first question and ask how you got interested in empowering girls and women.
Well, first, let me thank you so much for inviting me to the podcast. I felt honored to be invited, especially as we're going to continue this conversation about women and girls, because that is my jam. That is really my thing. I was interested and continue to be interested in talking about women and girls. I think because first and foremost, I'm a woman, right? And I know the societal pressures that are out there about women, but also when you sit and you listen to women. So sometimes you're not necessarily in a conversation with women, but you hear them speak, or sometimes it's not women, it's girls. And
Mhm.
when you hear the conversations they're having, and also if you add the social media piece to it, of course, now we are, it just seemed to take a negative turn.
Mm.
And so it wasn't only about, oh, my fingernails are cute. It went into, it's not just my nails, it's my body, it's my hair, it's my skin tone, it's my this, it's my that. It just went into all of these areas.
Yeah.
And I started to wonder, what was it? What was the thing? And maybe there are multiple things, and I'm sure they are. What are those things that for some reason that as women, because I don't hear young boys or young men speak the same way,
Mm.
right? They will beef up their chest. They'll
Yeah.
put their chest out and they'll tell you, I am this,
Yes.
I am that, and this is who I'm going to be. Not that there are not some women who do that or some girls who do that, but I most mainly I heard young women and girls speaking ill of themselves and the fact that they were not good enough. And
Mhm.
so I said, maybe I need to do something about that and kind of spread the message and spread the word. And that's how I came up with the 10 Commandments for women.
I love that. So I have two younger daughters, 10 and 6, and it was amazing hearing my young daughters say those kinds of things at such a young age. Oh, I'm so
Mhm.
stupid, or
Mhm.
these kinds of things. And so I echo the sentiment of it's happening early and we don't talk kindly
That's
about
right.
ourselves or to ourselves. So
Mhm.
wow, that's
And the things they hear, right, from us as parents and as from teachers and coaches. And so the example that you use, oh, I'm so stupid. So they're just it's a flippant comment sometimes.
yeah.
But if you constantly tell yourself that you're stupid and these little things, they add up.
Mhm.
And then when you become at a certain age or a certain time frame or this big thing that you have to accomplish, regardless of age, you begin to internalize, well, maybe I didn't get that because I was stupid. And
Yeah.
so I really want to be able to, kind of eradicate some of that negative language.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, I had an opportunity to hear you speak recently in a group that I was connected with, and you had introduced the group to the Ten Commandments for Women. Can you describe a little bit about how you came up with this and tell my listeners a little bit more?
Absolutely. So I hope that your listeners know a little bit about hip hop and the rap culture, right? Because that's where I got the concept from. From I call him a philosopher. I know some people are like, why would you call him a philosopher? Well, we call Aristotle a philosopher. Nobody questioned why he's a
Right.
philosopher, right? Because he has his way of thinking, and so did this person. So this person I grew up around, not me personally, but his music.
Sure.
His official government name is Christopher Wallace, but in New York City, he's known as Big Papa, right? Biggie. And
Yep.
so he had this song called The 10 Crack Commandments. So this was the way he said it was a step-by-step instructions or step-by-step guide to how he wanted to have his pharmaceutical business in the community.
Hmm.
Let's just put it like that. And
Hmm.
so that's what he wanted to do. And I call it the three C's. He was clear, he communicated well, and he was concise.
Mm.
And I thought, my goodness, he is really outlining here all of the things that you need to do to have these pharmaceutical sales,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, given what I know about women, about girls, and the things that I've been hearing, what if I came up with my own 10 commandments for women to
Mhm.
ensure that we were going along this positive path to who we are intrinsically, who we are as women, who we are to our neighbors, who we are to each other, to our siblings. And so that's how I came, seriously, this is how I came up. The first concept came from that particular song. And of course, it's a nod to rap music, it's a nod to New York City. And so when I came up with it, of course, I trademarked the term
Yeah.
because I started looking around for with my one of my professional coaches. She has quite a few trademarks and registered things out there. And so I said, okay, I want to make sure that I get this and I do this right. And so, of course, you got to go to the Ohio registry, you got to look for it. And you wouldn't believe it. I couldn't find the 10 commandments for women. It wasn't trademarked.
Wow.
And so I trademarked it, and here we are. And so I've created my 10 commandments for women, and then I encourage women. And the 10 commandments really are a list of rules, guidelines, core values that women should have for themselves first,
Hmm.
right? So I created them for myself and then encourage other women to create their commandments or their rules of engagement for themselves so that when we are amongst each other or with each other, we are all very aware of who we are, and we should not, um, take us a back seat to the brilliance that we bring to the table.
Hmm. 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 I know when you spoke with our group, you asked us to come up with our commandments and then asked us to share,
Yes,
which is kind of how I introduced my podcast because I said my commandment was that I was done apologizing for
yes.
existing,
Hmm.
which I appreciate, right? And that has become one of the kind of core values of who
For you.
I
Wonderful.
am and how I show up in the world and how I encourage others to show up in the world. What are some fun ones that maybe have stood out to you over the years that I'm putting you on the spot, Carol, but like
Oh, no, no worries.
what are some
I'm
ones that you
prepared. I'm
I don't
prepared.
know. I love it.
I would say for me, I always share, of course, my commandment number six that I'm going to get to, but I would say my top three commandments. I mean, there might be four, but I would say my top three commandments are my number one, number two, and then I'm going to go to number six. So my first commandment is, and I begin all of them with the way they represent themselves in the historical Bible,
Sure,
right? I don't want this to be religious in any way.
sure.
It's thou shalt, right? So it begins with thou shalt create a personal board of directors. That's my number one thing for myself. And I encourage other women to do the same. We all need a board of directors because as I explained when I met with the group and the organization that I met with you, um, we have rules for everything, right? We have personal board of directors. We are on boards, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's in our communities, at our institution of higher learning, wherever we work, maybe it's in a place of worship, wherever it is,
Yeah.
we're on some kind of board of directors where we're giving advice. Even if we think about a university,
Hmm.
they have a board of trustees,
Right.
board of governors.
Right.
And just for ourselves, for our own personal lives, we do not have a board.
Hmm.
We don't have a list of people that we can say, here are these issues, here this thing I would like to celebrate. Tell me a bit more. How can I celebrate with you? What are some of the things that you have not considered? And here's this brilliant idea that you came up with. How can I help you sow it a bit more and take it to the next level?
Hmm.
We will do that as women for everybody else except ourselves.
Hmm.
And so for me, that was my first commandment because I have a group of women, right? And for I have two different things, right? I have a group of sisters that
Hmm.
are part of my sisterhood, but I also separately have a group of board of directors. They include everyone, they're all inclusive.
Hmm.
Anyone that has a skill that I don't have. So, let's say I'm trying to go to the gym, which is something I'm trying to do right now,
Sure,
trying to
sure.
get my strength on. I'm trying to strength train a little bit. I need to reach out to someone on my board who's actually my biological sister. Her name is Sharon. She's a marathon person.
Mm.
So I need to connect with her and say, you know what, you run these marathons. I'm trying to strength train. What are some of the things that I need to do to get started?
Yeah.
Right? Hopefully, she's not telling me what I don't need to eat because
Right.
I'm gonna eat something. I'm gonna eat now, but I need you to tell me what are some of the things that small things that I can do.
Yeah.
So I think for women, we need to have a personal board of directors. Those things that you're not that great at, that
Yeah.
you really need to connect with someone, or maybe you're just really good and you need to take whatever it is to the next level. I
Yeah.
think that's what we need to do. Just like we have a board of directors in other areas. So that is my first and foremost.
Love it.
Then my second commandment, and this is how it is in a row. My second commandment is thou shalt not let anyone verbally, psychologically, emotionally abuse you. Right?
Hmm.
There's probably a few more words that I've used there.
Sure.
I think as women we take on too much.
Mm.
the different microaggressions, the slights,
Hmm.
even now in the state where we live
Yep.
with, Senate Bill 1.
Yep.
There's just so much going on. If we don't learn how to protect ourselves from
Hmm.
some of these verbal assaults that's coming to us,
Hmm.
or that slight, that woman next to you or across from you, or sometimes you're at the airport, right?
Yeah.
And these little slights that come our way, we are doomed to fall into that trap. Because especially with young girls, you will be surprised when I go into high schools, because I like to go a little bit younger
Yeah,
sometimes, because we have to start with a younger age.
for
And my
sure.
next step is to get into elementary school, because I want this message to get to younger kids before I get to high school.
Mhm.
And I need to have a different way to speak to them. But when I speak to high school girls, you would be surprised the things they tell you
Mm.
about relationships that they're having, whether
Mm.
it's intimate relationships, relationships with their parents, grandparents, and mostly it's about a boyfriend, a girlfriend, maybe a really best friend that they had
Yeah.
or have currently. And the things that the person will say to them verbally or psychologically, it is baffling to me.
Hmm.
And I say, so that's not right, right? Sometimes they know it's not right, but they don't know what to do about it.
Right. Right.
So that is my second commandment, is realize, having women realize these things are not in our best interest.
Right.
And my bonus commandment goes along with that. If it's not for you, you need to move on from it,
Hmm.
right? If it's not for you, you need to move on from it. And then the last commandment that I wanted to share is my commandment number 6, which is my favorite all-time commandment. Thou shalt not, oh, of course, I'm missing it right now, but it's I'm gonna try to say the words exactly the way it is. Thou shalt not let, of course, I'm missing it right now. I'm going to turn to the page.
It's
Hopefully
all good.
you can bleep this part off. But it's okay. You don't have to bleep it out, because sometimes we forget.
It's okay.
Um, Thou shalt stop trying to get others to like you.
Mm.
That is
Whew.
my commandment number 6, is my favorite. Thou shalt stop trying to get other people to like you. I wanted to say it exactly the same way, but I didn't have it in my head the way
Yeah.
I'm saying it to you now. We try so hard.
So hard.
We as women, we try so hard for other people to like us.
Yes.
Not even for love. Haven't even gotten to the love part yet.
Right.
We try so hard to get that person. Oh, I don't know if Michelle likes me. I'm not sure if Sarah likes me. And then we get into the trap of trying everything possible for that person to like us.
Yes.
Whether it's, I overheard that she really likes coffee from Starbucks, so I'm going to get her Starbucks card.
Right.
Oh my God, I really like her glasses. So the next time I go into the office, I'm going to tell her how cute her glasses look.
Right.
Oh my goodness, I know she loves the color blue. So I'm going to wear blue tomorrow. I mean, the little things we
Yes.
get into our minds about, the things we want to do to try to get other people to like us.
Hmm.
It is absolutely amazing to me. And I thought, if we're doing all of this, and sometimes we don't get anywhere, right? Because
Right.
the person have decided that they're not even thinking about us.
Right.
They're not even giving us a second thought. And here we are, spiraling. Our minds are going, going, going. What can I do more to get this person to like me?
Right.
And so we have to stop and think. There is something about, it's not trying to get that person to like you. There's something about inside of me, Carol, that's telling me I don't like me.
Mm.
I don't like something about myself
Hmm.
that I'm seeing in that other person, why I want to try to get them to like me so much.
Hmm.
We have to figure out what that thing or those things are, because we're going to keep doing that over time, not with just this one person now. We're going to do it over and over again, not just in friendships, but also in personal relationships, meaning partnerships. And I think we are getting ourselves in a lot of emotional trouble,
Hmm.
right? A
Hmm.
lot of emotional trouble there when we're trying to do that, because sometimes it's not going to turn out in our best interest. And it gives people the opportunity to then emotionally abuse you. So
Right.
let's say I'm trying to get Michelle to like me so much. Now, Michelle has caught on to,
Right.
Carol is really trying really hard here. Okay, Michelle is thinking, not you, Michelle, of course. Michelle or Sarah, whomever it is thinking, now that I know this is what Carol's trying to do, I'm going to manipulate the situation,
Right.
because people don't always have our best interests at heart,
Right. Right. Right.
right? And so that is, I would say that is my all-time favorite commandment. My commandment number six.
Yeah.
Stop trying to get other people to like you.
Yeah, and that's a great one. I find a lot of memes and quotes on social media, and that is one that I'm always drawn to, right?
Mm-hmm,
Because
mm-hmm.
as soon as you can free yourself of that, it is really powerful. It is really powerful when you no longer care what others think about you. And so,
That's right. But
gosh.
I think we have to also remember that there can be consequences to
Hmm.
not caring, right?
Sure.
And we have to live with those consequences, right? Because I live with them every day because I could care less. When I walk into a room, I think I gave this example. I walk into most rooms or any room as if my ancestors sent me there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm not concerned about what somebody else thinks. But if that person has some type of power,
Right.
or perceived power, because a lot of people have perceived power. It's not actual power. You
Yes.
think you over here, but you think no, you have perceived power. They'll try to use that perceived power to be like, oh, so Carol don't care about this. Okay, that next promotion, that next getting her at a table, that next whatever that next is, I'm gonna make sure she's not invited.
Right.
But here's what folks don't know about me, honey. I build my own table.
Mm,
So I'm not concerned about whether or not I get invited to anyone's table. So there are consequences, but I think as long as we're aware of
yeah.
those consequences, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. I think that's really important for women to continue to hear, and it's a continued story. It's a cycle, right? It is
Hmm, hmm,
we have to remind ourselves. I was just at a conference not too long ago, and you meet new people and they're really cool and they do cool
hmm.
things, right? And so it's this cycle of like, but wait a minute, let me focus. Let me focus on Michelle and my values and who I
That's
am,
right.
what I'm bringing to the conversation. So that's really
It's
great.
so
Thank you
easy to
for
get caught up, though. It's
it
so easy
is.
to get caught up. Yeah,
It
it
is.
is.
It is. Thanks for sharing those three. And
Of course, of
hopefully folks
course.
will go out and make their own commandments. I think that that was a
Yes,
really powerful
yes.
part of our time together whenever you came and talked to our group. And I still have mine right next to my computer, even though I've moved offices, I have it right next to my computer. And I think it's really important to continue to revisit as well. So.
Hmm. Do you mind sharing one if you remember any of them? Do you
Well, I
remember
mean,
any of your
certainly
commandments?
one is the done
The done
apology,
apologize. Okay.
right? And so for
Yeah.
me, that's really important and something
Hmm,
that, for 4.5 years now, I've been unapologetically showing up
mm,
in my space. And then I also borrowed from you because I also think that the board of directors one
hmm,
is really
hmm.
important to me in both my personal and my professional life. And
Absolutely.
I continue to grow who that is, and time and place is important as well on who
Hmm.
I tap into and how I have those conversations. So, yep, those are two
Fantastic.
that I return to pretty regularly. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I know that you enjoy a quote by Danielle Laporte, and her quote is, "Can you remember who you were before the world told you who you should be?" Can you talk a little
Hmm.
bit more about how that shows up for you in your space?
Yes, I remember because I'm a quotes person. Like I love quotes. I have quotes that, as part of my email signature. I'm just a quotes person.
Yeah.
Because I think quotes are short, but they're powerful,
Mhm.
right? In the message that they give. When I saw that particular quote, it really was one of those kind of, the hair on my arm and the back of my neck kind of stood up like, oh, who are we before the world told us who we should be?
Yeah.
Like as a woman, do I really know who I am?
Hmm.
Because from birth, from what I can remember, whether I was 5 or 10, someone else was telling me, society, my mom, who heard it from somebody else, right? My dad, grandparents, my surrogate mom, mentor, folks are telling you what they know, but it's what they heard from somewhere else as another woman,
Right.
right? And so I had to stop and think and really practice and go back and not just think, but act on who am I as a woman?
Mm-hmm.
So these rules that are out there for women, are they really for women? Are they for anyone? Or were they kind of put in place so women can stay in their place,
Hmm.
right? So
Yep.
sometimes we have to think about that. Are some of these rules, and I know it is, are some of those rules created to keep women in their place?
Yeah.
And I believe some of them are. And so as I continue to think, and again, this is a growing and learning, right? So I don't have it all figured out. Even if I've created a 10 commandments for women, these are my 10 commandments. And I'm sure maybe at some point I'll have 12. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows, right? Because there could be more coming. But I thought, my God, my goodness, what if we don't really know? And part of us knowing is coming up with these commandments for ourselves, right? Okay, so my mom and my grandma and whomever in the family, my neighbor, the place of worship, here are the things that they told me a woman should do, right? So for me growing up, for sure, I needed to cook, I needed to wash, I needed to iron. And you just don't know how to iron in my house. You know how to starch.
Mm.
Okay? You know how to put some starch and make that whether those trousers, we say trousers in my
Yep.
house, or those pants, nice and stiff with the crease. Like you have to learn how to do that. Plus, when I was born on an island in the Caribbean, Antigua, and we wore uniform to go to school. Like you can't just go to school with anything. And so my uniform has pleats.
Yeah.
And so you had to know how to get the pleats, and it had to look good. Because my grandmother said, "Don't walk out of this house without those pleats looking good," because there was a message. If you don't learn how to do these things, you're not gonna get married. No guy is gonna. Then she didn't say no guy is gonna want you. She never said those words.
Sure.
But those things were part of being a wife. That's
Mhm.
what I was taught.
Mm.
And then, of course, as I was growing up, even as a teenager, I thought, I don't want to do those things.
Mhm.
Even if it's what I saw around me, I'm like, that ain't gonna be my life. Because I'm not gonna be washing, ironing. Now, of course, later on, I was washing and I was
Right.
ironing,
Right.
but definitely not at the same level that my grandmother and my mother was doing it. Matter of fact, now, honey, you know what I do? I take the stuff to the cleaners
I
because I'm
love
not
it.
doing it. I'm not
Yep.
doing it. And so these are some of the things that I thought about as a teenager growing up, like, well, okay, if I don't want to do that, then what?
Mhm.
What is the then what? And so as I grew older, I had to figure out if I don't want this for Carol, how can I change it? And if I change it, what does that really mean? And as part of my commandments is okay, well, as the second one that I talked about, not having anyone emotionally, psychologically, financially, right, abuse you or take advantage of you as a woman. That means I need to have my own.
Mhm.
So how can I change the narrative? There's some things that I need to do for myself, or making sure whatever relationship or relationships that I'm a part of, that they're aware of my commandments.
Mhm.
So my husband is very aware of my commandments. Listen, I don't play about who I am as a person. He is very aware of my commandments.
Yeah.
And so I think as women, when we find out who we are, regardless of what society tells us who we are, then we can get to whatever that next level is.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. I am thinking about as I've raised my girls, right? That I have told them who they are or who they should not be, right?
That's right.
Don't be the bully. Don't be the
Mm-hmm.
bossy one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd be curious
And
to
I tell my daughter the same thing, right? So as and what I try to model for my daughter as well.
yeah.
And even when I travel now and or she sees me take things to the cleaners. So sometimes it's the little things
Yeah.
that I'm telling her, girl, you don't gotta do all this. You don't have to do it with the appropriate resources or picking things apart like, okay, let me do this instead of getting those 5 cups of coffee at Starbucks this week. Maybe that's the cleaner's money.
Right.
Sometimes you got to balance some things out. So we the only thing we can hope is that we're showing our daughters an example and our sons as well, our children an example.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, obviously, it's clear to me, even just through this conversation, but you and I have had other conversations, but that women's empowerment is important. And so, why is this something that women should be discussing and having conversations with others about?
I think, especially right now, it just seems like things are being erased
Mm.
slowly but surely. And it seems like we're going back in time. I remember watching, what is it called, that show, Handmaid's Tale, is that what it is?
Yeah.
When it came out first, I think I watched maybe the first 2 or 3 seasons. I haven't gone back to it. But I remember watching that, thinking, there's no way.
Mm.
There is no way that this can happen. But as we progressed in time, that was the first show that came to my mind because I thought, are we going back in time? So I think more than ever, we as women need to make sure that we know what our core values are as a collective, right? So I may know what my core value is as Carol, but also part of my responsibility, given what's happening in this country right now, given what's happening in our community, given what's happening across the nation and beyond this country, really, because different countries have different rules for women as well, right? And so we need to make sure that I'm not just set all by myself, that I'm also creating a space and place so that other women can create and design their own commandments. So they too can have their own core values and say, you know what, this is who I am.
Mhm.
And so now that the community, you, the nation, now that you know who I am, let's try to do some things differently so we get to a different place. Because where we are right now, sometimes I really worry where we're going.
Mhm.
I believe it's going to be better, of course. As a collective, we have to do this together. This is
Mhm.
not a one person deal.
Yep, yep. Coming together in community, I think that's really powerful. And little things like this and being able to engage with other folks, I think is really important and powerful and being uplifted in ways that
Hmm.
give us voice and that
Hmm.
give us confidence to use our voice, I think is
Yes,
really important too. I love it. I love it.
absolutely.
I love it. Okay, so my listeners have been listening to all this great information that you've been sharing, and they're thinking, what do I do? How do I take this information? What do I do next? How do I start with my 10 commandments? What kind of tips do you have for them?
Okay, so I would say a tip for women right now is to just kind of give yourself some grace,
Mm,
right? And some grace and some time because we're on this treadmill. We're always going somewhere, always doing something, doing, going. I never sit down to say, who am I as a person, or what are some of these core values and rules that I want for myself that I plan to live by? And so just sitting down in a quiet place and said, okay, all right, Carol, what do I really like? Or what do I not like for myself? So, this person treated me this way, and maybe I allowed it somehow because I never corrected them. Okay, so what do I need to do to now correct this behavior? Because when someone continues to come to you a certain way, sometimes when they come that fourth time, you're bracing yourself because you're like, okay, here we go. Here we go. It's coming. But I never have a response. But maybe now it's time for me to come up with my core values that I can say, no, that's not the way I would like you to approach me or to approach this topic with me. Can we have this conversation privately? That's part of my core values now, right? So, for example, like your core value is one of them is I'm done apologizing for who I am. Whatever it is, I'm done with it because you had to think about that. So I want women to begin to think about, okay, what is it about me that I would like to change? What are some of the things I want to see differently about myself? Or what is the best way to respond to something that's was coming at me all those things that were coming at me all the time, and I just sucked it up,
yeah,
suck it up, and move forward. Oh, that person had a bad day. Well, how many bad days are you going to give them?
right.
How many bad days? So I think I need women to just find a place and space, sit in a quiet place, whether it's through meditation, maybe through counseling, through whatever it is, to come up with some of these things. Because I tell you, my therapist is the bomb. I
Mm,
was able to come up with some of these things even after going through therapy myself. So that's the first thing that I would do.
love it. Love it. Love it. And I think as women, we don't hold that space for ourselves, right?
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
are always giving of ourselves to others. And so I think that's important. So, listeners, as I've said on past episodes, even if you need to hit pause right now, if you're
Hmm.
driving, please do not hit pause and do this activity, get to a stopping point. But,
Yes,
I think, hit pause and give yourself some time and type it into your phone notes or scribble it on the back of a receipt if you're thinking about it right now, and come back to it and sit with it and be in a space that you have that opportunity to do that. So it's okay to hit pause and come back to this episode.
that's
Just
right.
make sure you come back to this episode. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
well, Carol, I have really enjoyed our time together. And as we start to wrap things up, what kind of final thoughts do you have for my listeners?
I think the final thing I would like to say is if there's any woman, because again, this is about the Ten Commandments for women, if there's any woman listening to this podcast right now, I want them to understand that they are enough.
Mm, mm,
They're enough. You are enough by yourself. You
mm,
don't need any additional validation to tell you that you are awesome, that you are brilliant. You don't have to have a degree to be brilliant. I think sometimes we take things out of context. My mother does not have a college degree. And she's one of the wisest and smartest women that I know.
Mhm.
And she has no piece of paper. I
Mhm.
think sometimes we confuse an education with a degree.
Mm. Yep.
Because you have a degree does not mean that you're educated. It means that you had an experience at a college and you got some really good things from some professors. You internalized some things and you were able to give, regurgitate some information, but learn some things in the process, of course, right? Because we know college is a learning experience. But it does not mean you're more educated than someone else who did not have a formal education.
Mhm.
So I think as women, we have to remember wherever you are right now, you're enough.
Mhm.
You don't need anything else to say, well, let me go start that podcast. Start the podcast. Start
Mhm.
the podcast. Get a mic and ask Michelle, how did she get started? Ask Michelle, how did she do it? What did she have to do? Right? Did she need to get a mic? About how much did it cost between getting a mic, having your computer, maybe okay, give me a roundabout figure. What was it, $1,000? Okay. Was it $500? Whatever it was, and get your board of directors and you say to your board of directors, okay, I'm going to have a podcast. Here's the audience I would like to hit. I'm at, it costs about $500 because I spoke to Michelle and Michelle said it's going to cost you about this much. I have $400 right now. I have 300. How can you help invest in me so I can get to my next, so I can get to my goal? I think we have to just remember that is the one thing I want to say before we leave. Right now, where you sit, where you stand, whether you're in your car, whether you're in bed, whether you're trying to figure out, should I get out of this bed right now or not? Right? Maybe you're just on a walk, or maybe you're just about to take a nap. Whatever it is that's going on in your mind that may be swaying you to another space, just remember that you are enough.
Mhm. And that is the perfect wisdom to end this incredible episode. Thank you so much, Carol, for spending time
Of
with me
course.
and my listeners. I really appreciate it. And I know that folks are just gonna love this episode as much as I've enjoyed talking with you as well.
Thank you so much. And if you hear of any woman who would definitely love for me to come and speak with them about my 10 commandments, whether it's their family members or a company and organization, feel free, let me know, and I will be there to
I
show
love
them how to get it done.
I
Thank
love
you
it.
so much for the opportunity.
Of course, of course. And listeners, thank you for spending another week with us and for being part of this community. This week's affirmations. I'm done apologizing for spending time focused on me. I am done apologizing for being enough in the way that I am. I'm done apologizing for you fill in your blank. Friends, go out there, have an incredible week, do the amazing things I know you're capable of, and remember to like, follow, and share wherever you're listening to this podcast episode. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you know when the next latest and greatest podcast episode drops. If you're not following me on social media, you're missing out, first of all, but make sure that you follow me on all the different platforms. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok. I'm over on YouTube now with full episodes of the podcast episodes too. So make sure that you're following along and share that out with others if you would. If you want to be my guest, just like Carol and all the other incredible guests I've had on this podcast, make sure you fill out the form at the link in my show notes or on any of my social media platforms. And remember, you're fabulous. You're a badass. You've got this, and I'm here for you.